The Chart of Truth. The Chart of Truth. Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. What's going on, guys? Brandon here. We have the algorithm, which hates truth. So please share any signal that you hear within the noise, because it's the only way, it's the only flipping way we're going to have the least amount of collateral damage possible by educating the most amount of people, by getting the word out there, by questioning everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. It's the only way. By going along with academia, mainstream narratives, and government policy and shills, we're never going to have anything different. If you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, that's called insanity. That's the definition. Webster said it, or Einstein, or somebody, or whatever. So, what's going on here? What is this? The Chart of Truth, as Raoul Pal says, is the 10-year Treasury, which we concur with. We talk about the trifecta every single day, right? And the global 3 liquidity indicators, but the trifecta is the 10-year Treasury, the DXY, the dollar relative strength, and the crude oil price. What is this, though, you might ask? So we have the data coming in, and the 10-year Treasury note fell below. I mean, this is the clown world we live in. 3.5% on Wednesday is cooler than expected. Inflation data for April strengthened bets. You'd think that'd be good news, and yet... it's like, good news is good news and bad news is good news. It's just like nothing makes sense. That's what happens when you're a fiat by decree. When you get the flap gums, Brad Sherman coming out, anti-Bitcoin, anti-free money, anti-freedom, anti-property rights, anti-you holding your wealth, Brad Sherman, yes, U.S. congressperson. This is a clown we're living, where he's saying, well, these crypto bros just made money out of thin air, made a whole bunch of money. And some might say that the U.S. government prints money out of thin air, and maybe we do, but we're the U.S. government. That's literally almost verbatim what he said. I'm paraphrasing about 5% of that. That's literally what your elected representative said to you. Basically just said, hey, F you, little ring finger action. Hey, F you, you're too stupid to hold your own wealth. You're too stupid to know what I'm saying. You're too stupid to read between the lines. You're too stupid to just listen to what I'm saying, because you're too distracted on your phone. You're too distracted watching and reading a People magazine and an Us Weekly and looking at your fantasy sports on your phone, your Yahoo app, your Yahoo News, your Yahoo Fantasy Sports app, and turning on ESPN to see what's on Stephen A. Smith has to say. This is the clown world. This is what's perpetuated and gone on for centuries, distracting the average person so that the government, the treasury, central bankers, whoever, can just obfuscate truth, hide truth, and do stuff, quite honestly, right out in the open, because they know that we're too stupid to do anything, to say anything, or to stand up. Because now, if you stand up, you're an insurrectionist. If you stand up against anything the government does and that they don't like, then you're an insurrectionist. If you stand up for something they do want to cause more division and chaos or whatever, if it's George Floyd or whatever, then bravo. If you don't see through the clown world that's going on, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to have a very hard time in the world going forward. You're going to be beaten into the ground. I guarantee this. These things, just interviewed Michelle Week earlier, brilliantly said, the more you see things and the patterns you see over life, you become more confident in what you're doing, right? And it's so true. I mean, I've seen that in my own life. Like, I've predicted many things over 20 years. Unfortunately, many of them have come true. So I've gotten very confident in my assertions in how I talk, because I have seen these patterns and I've seen these psychological patterns play out over time, and I can see how people are going to react. So we position ourselves properly. This is why our portfolio continues to grow all the time, year over year, because we position ourselves to be anti-chaos, to be anti-woke, to be anti-government, to be anti, like the opposite of what the morons are doing. If we just do that and make ourselves independent and resilient, we win. We win at the end of the day. We sleep easy at night. So we have, them, thinking that, because people just in general, they're going to have more rate cuts this year because they may cut, can't talk. The Federal Reserve may cut interest rates this year because there's tight lending going on everywhere. I mean, we are so upside down because they say, we're going to destroy the economy, destroy demand, which is destroying the economy, destroying jobs, which they've done. They're going to destroy your jobs, literally. That's what they talk about. And we're going to destroy the American worker. We're going to squeeze the middle class and the poor until they're on their knees. We see the whites of their eyes. And, here we are already, the yield curve, as we said many times, this is the Chart of Truth. are predicting lower rates over the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months and beyond. So the the bond market is the biggest market in the world, the credit market's showing us what's going to be happening going forward. And this will happen. And maybe they go for another 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I don't know. They're going to collapse more stuff. More countries will collapse. More companies will collapse. More banks will collapse, which they're trying to do. They're trying to constrict and consolidate and have more centralized control. Again, easier to cause division and hatred and polarization and stoke fear. Oh, you need a CBDC. We need a central bank digital currency. Bitcoin, oh no, that's not good. You can't have your own money. You can't have freedom money, as Brad Sherman said. You can't print your own currency, which you can't print in Bitcoin. You have to earn it or you have to mine it. But the government can print it out of thin air, out of nowhere. They don't need anything. They need nothing. They just need you to stay silent. That's it. That's it. So again, you may ask, why is everything upside down? Why is Clown World upside down? Because inflation is Clown World. Because taxes from the government are Clown World. What are they providing you? Can you tell me what the government's providing you? Please, I'll wait. What is the government actually providing you? They're not providing you anything. The government doesn't produce anything. They don't produce wealth. They're there to work at the consent of us. They're there to just make sure the system is there to work for us, to make sure the laws are upheld. Basically, that's it. That's it. Make sure the borders are secure. Make sure that the people inside of it are for lack of a better phrase, safe. Just make sure we're not being, attacked. Things like that. But but you can't guarantee any of those things, right? It's up to us. It's up to each person, each family individually to protect themselves and to be the people they need to be, and because that will ward off more than anything else ever could. It's kind of like the entire nation being armed. It's weird how many countries have always said, well, you can't invade America because they're all armed. Anyway, I digress. But again, this is the Clown World. We have cooler than expected inflation data. So it strengthened bets that the Federal Reserve may cut interest rates this year. So again, just 180, completely pivoting. And just to show you, this is the whole point with all this, the inflation data, here you can see 8.3 last year, 4.9 this year for this April, 8.3 last year, and 4.2 the year before that. Wow. So it was up 4% 2 years ago. It was up 8% from there, and it was up 5% just from those increases. So again, this is where there's lies, damn lies, and then statistics, right? And this is how the government, again, obfuscates truth, obfuscates reality. This is the lie right here. This is one of the lies. They're showing you, oh yeah, look, things are great, things are wonderful. Really? Are they? Because inflation is still way out. I'm still paying a ton. I don't know where everyone else is getting their food or what's going on, but I'm missing something clearly. So we have the federal debt continuing to balloon out of control. This will continue climbing. Can someone tell me in the comments how this reverses? How does this reverse? Let me know. Are we going to stop our defense spending and stop going to war? Biden just got us into another war. We literally not even a couple months in the office or a year in the office, and here we are, proxy wars with nuclear superpowers, paying himself off and his family. There we go. Social Security, Medicare. Let's cut that, guys. Are we going to cut that? What are we going to do here? So I don't know where this is going to slow down at. So you tell me. And again, here's Bitcoin the last 5 years against the dollar, destroying the dollar, literally destroying it. So again, John Williams shadow stats, when you look at inflation, what's actually going on, here's the real inflation from 1980. They're showing you it's 5% from the government, but it's really 14%, 13%. This is the Clown World. So imagine it being, let's see, what was it last year at this time, right? So it was really 13%, then it was 17%, and now it's back down to 13%. Oh, congratulations. That sounds a little more like it, doesn't it? So 13%, then built 17% on top of that, and then another 13% above that. That's how you have to look at this. It's not just like some linear thing. This is compounding on each other. So this is the Clown World we live in. This is the real info that the average person needs. Why isn't this taught in school? Again, Michelle and I talked about this earlier. Michelle Weekly. Why isn't this taught in school? Why isn't The Creature from Jekyll Island read to seniors in high school? Why isn't the money system taught to you in high school? Why aren't you taught how to balance a checkbook or budget or do accounting or bookkeeping? Why aren't you taught what money really is? Why aren't you taught that gold is money and Bitcoin is money? That work is money. Your time and energy is is what money stores, and you have to have a finite container to store that, or it all gets taken away by government. Oh boy. So government runs the schools. Government runs the schools, and they're the ones that are supposed to teach you about the theft that they're pulling on the average person. Oh, I see. I see why they don't tell us. Interesting. That's an interesting thought experiment, isn't it? So this is why Jim Rohn always said, and the founding fathers, many people and the personal development people all since then, as when your formal education stops, your real education begins. When academia stops finally, and you get out of that indoctrination camp, then your real education begins. The problem is most people stop immediately when school stops. They stop learning. They never learn again. That's the biggest crime in all of humanity. And we are reaping what we sow now. So you see this happening. The bond yields again bumped down a little bit. We have the DXY, largely flat. I mean, these things haven't moved there very much, quite honestly. Crude oil is still about $72 a barrel. Gold and silver really haven't moved much. Bitcoin is the one that dipped down a little bit. The liquidity dipped down a little bit just today on some of the news today as well. So, I mean, really nothing to note. I think what we just talked about is the thing to note. That's the true thing to actually figure out what is happening and to see the scam, the Ponzi being run on you. So here we are, the mempool starting to be drained down a little bit here, which is beautiful to see. But Bitcoin working just as we thought it would be. Predictable currency, predictable money, predictable issuance, and auditable, and running TikTok next block every 10 minutes, unlike the banks, which is ironically what they're still monitoring. If you read into some of this, again, they're telling you, oh, we're looking at some of the banks and what's going on here. In the meantime, investors continue to assess the stability of troubled regional lenders and rising tensions regarding lawmakers' debt ceiling disagreement. So we still have banks failing, and that's going to continue happening because they continue to raise rates, which that may force them to pivot in itself. And the debt ceiling is an absolute joke anyway. You have to raise the debt ceiling. This is something I learned 10, 12 years ago. I thought you could balance the budgets. You can. You can't do it when you have a debt-based monetary system, a fiat-based fake monetary system. You can't do that. If you try to pay things off and pay everything off, then only debt is left. There's only debt left over. There's no money left. So the whole system implodes on itself. You need to have balance and to have actual equity and capital in the world. You need a deflationary money. You need an actual money, a sound money, hard money. You need Bitcoin. You need Bitcoin to actually have a deflationary system, one where your standard of living is constantly going up and costs are constantly going down. Right now, we have fiat inflationary world where your costs are constantly going up and your standard of living is constantly going down. So what is it, America? What is it, world? What is it that we want? BrysonBitcoin21.com. I'll leave you with this. This is the greatest example of what's going on right now. The green line is fiat. An average house, you have to find, over the last 10 years, you have to find more of those dollars to buy the same house. In the orange line is Bitcoin. You have to find less and less Bitcoin to buy the same house over the last 10 years. What do you want to hold? What do you want to hold? What money or what currency, what asset or liability do you want to hold? One is an asset, the orange, and one is a liability, the green. So which one do we want to hold? And this green is your cost going up and your standard of living going down, meaning you have to find more of these dollars so you can afford less and less house. Your standard of living going down. Orange is your standard of living going up because you have to find less and less Bitcoin. So if you have less Bitcoin, that means you can buy more house. So your standard of living is going up. Clown world, folks. Clown world. Please share that because the algorithm hates truth. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I appreciate that more than you know, as we continue to try to find the signal within the noise and give you everything we have. And there's much more to come. Believe you me. I appreciate everything. Question everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. It's not financial advice. It's freedom advice. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let me know. Thinking of our podcast series, we talk about non-playable characters and playable characters, thinking Band-Aids on bullet holes as well. Maybe Bitcoin on bullet holes. So let me know your thoughts there and some of those names. But I appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.